Hi, everybody. This is Jonathan Gorman from iCreative, and today we are going to talk about Safari on iPad OS. Safari, of course, is the blue compass-looking icon at the bottom of my dock here. When I launch it, I want to first just go over the basics. I want to walk you through the basic navigation, and then I want to take you into what I think are some pretty cool features. Top left is the back button. If I navigate away from this Apple page to yahoo.com and then I tap on that, it's going to take me back to the previous page. If I wanted to get back to Yahoo now and go forward, then I can now use that forward button to the right of it as well. Next to it is our handy bookmarks, but there's a lot of really cool things hanging out in the bookmarks tab here, this pane on the left-hand side, that are really pretty powerful, and I wanted to introduce you to a few of these select features. So number one, for those of you that have always wondered, how do I just get rid of this pane? Well, you can just tap on that little book icon at the top, and that's going to turn it on and off. In this part of the screen, when I look down at the bookmark section, I actually have three tabs. The first one, of course, just takes me to all my basic bookmarks. I can use folders to contain, bookmarks that are of a certain subject. But the second tab is pretty interesting. This one here is called Reading List. Let's say for a moment that you navigate to a website and you go down to an article. And once you tap on that article and you start to read it, you say to yourself, I would love to dig in more to this, but I just don't have the time right now. So instead of me adding a full-blown bookmark, instead of me committing to making that bookmark something that's always available to me, I just want this sort of temporarily. And so I'm going to tap and hold on that little book. And I can actually just choose, instead of adding a full-blown bookmark, I can actually say add to reading list. And suddenly, that little screen now has a new link to this article. So if I just went to apple.com and then I went to the iCreative site, and then I realized a little bit later, there was a couple cool articles that I wanted to read. If my bookmarks list wasn't showing, all I would need to do is tap on the book and then make sure that the reading list icon tab in the bookmarks pane there is selected. And sure enough, right at the top, I can tap on the BBC Culture Premier League news conferences and transfers news. And I can just click on that and boom, it's going to take me right back to that article that I was looking at. So the reading list is pretty powerful. And last but not least, to the right of that is history. And so I can go and look at all of the pages that I've looked at recently. And this can be pretty handy too if you just wanted to get back to an article or something that you had navigated to recently. So I'm going to disable this bookmarks pane on the left-hand side simply by tapping on the bookmark icon again and make that go away. The next thing I want to talk about is the address bar at the top, which you'll notice has a small a, big A. In the middle, it says bbc.com, and to the right of that, it has a little circle arrow icon. That's just to refresh the page. If the page stops loading properly, you can just tap on that, and it goes and reloads the web page for you. And so the first thing I want to let you know is that the address bar actually does two big things for us. The first one, of course, is for me to navigate to a different website. So if I simply tap up there once, all of the text gets highlighted. You'll see it says https://www.bbc.com, etc., etc. All of that is highlighted in blue. All I did is tap in there once. And once it's highlighted, of course, I can just start typing the iCreative.com. And as I start typing, you'll notice automatically, especially if I've been to this website before, it's going to make some pretty intelligent guesses as to what I'm trying to do next, which is really powerful. So at this point on the keyboard, I can just hit that blue go button, and sure enough, it takes me right to the site. So the point is, if I tap once on the URL at the top in the address bar and everything gets highlighted, you don't even have to hit the delete button to wipe it out. You don't have to hit the little gray X on the right side of the toolbar either. You can just start typing and away you go. It's really fast. So the other thing that I wanted to let you know that the address bar does that I think is also extremely handy is this is also a place where you can type anything that you want to search on google.com. Nature, so I'm just going to start typing beautiful mountain range. And once I hit go, this literally pops up the Google search results for that. And on this particular page, if you notice at the top to the right of all, it says images, and I'm just going to tap on images there. And now I've switched my Google search results to be images of beautiful mountain ranges. How about that? Not bad. So the address bar is a place where I can type in a new address, but it also happens to be a place where I can do a Google search. This is really powerful. Now let's keep moving to the right side of the top of our screen here. And I want to point out this next icon, which is, of course, the universal icon that we now use for sharing. So if I navigate to a website, I'm just going to tap on one of these. Actually, let me just go to a different website altogether. If I just go to the Apple site. If I click on the share icon on the top right there, the square with the arrow jumping out of it, I get this whole screen of things that allow me to send quickly texting this web page to anybody that I text with any regularity. I can also airdrop this to anybody that's in my proximity. I can email it, I can do notes, I can even copy it or save it to Dropbox. I mean, the amount of stuff you can do in the share sheet, which is what we call this. After you tap on the share icon, we're shown the share sheet. Try to say that 10 times in a row with graham crackers in your mouth. But this is a really incredible set of features that we can do. So any website that you navigate to, you can really quickly and easily share it in any number of ways. It's really powerful stuff. So the next icon after that is the plus. Well, what am I plussing? If you look at the very top of the screen, the first thing that we're going to see is apple.com, and that's the address bar. Beneath that, you're going to see single tap shortcuts to all of my favorite websites. So those are like my bookmarks or my favorites. Those two terms are synonymous in this case. But beneath that, you're going to notice all these little things that we call tabs. And tabbed browsing is what I'm going to talk about next. You'll notice that I've got all kinds of different tabs. And if I take my finger and swipe on that part of the screen, that row of icons will now move to the left and right. And this is really neat because when I get to something that I want to select, I can just, like in this case, I'm going to click on Buy Rubens. And I'm looking at some really incredible Rubens pieces on this particular tab. Now, as I scroll down, you'll notice that the tabs and everything else at the top of the Safari window goes away. They do that on purpose so we can focus on the content. But when I start dragging down, they think, oh, maybe you want to look at the controls for Safari and get back to things. That's kind of a crazy one, head of Medusa. So I'm going, if I wanted to close out of this particular tab, you'll notice that this tab in particular is a lighter gray than the other ones. And to the left of Buy Rubens, you're going to see that little X. And if I just tap on that little X, that gets rid of that tab. And sure enough, it just automatically takes me to the right tab to the tab that was just to the right of it, makes that guy active. So all of the other tabs are a darker gray, which is telling you sort of visually that this is not the active tab. So these tabs will start to add up after a while. And so how do we manage them? Well, this is the next icon. To the right of plus is those two overlapping windows. If I tap and hold, I can actually close all 30 of the open tabs in one fell swoop by clicking on that. But before I do that, I wanted to also bring to your attention another kind of a cool feature, and that is how do I look at all of my tabs in kind of a graphical interface? Well, I can do that by tapping on the tab, and suddenly the overlapping windows icon, I'm sorry. And when I tap on that, all of my open tabs are shown in this really cool kind of tile view. And so the neat thing about this is that now I'm able to just tap on any one of these and it springs to life for me. So if navigating the tabbed window is a little bit tough because they're a little bit smaller, not to worry, I can just tap on my overlapping windows top right, and they will all show in little tiles, which is really kind of cool and handy. Now, also in this window is something that I find particularly interesting. There's a couple things going on here. Number one, you'll notice in the top right it says private. So if you wanted to go into private browsing, you would just tap on the word private. You'll notice that the word private then becomes highlighted in white. And if you want to know what private browsing is, it says it right there in the middle. Safari won't remember the pages you visited, your search history, or your autofill information after you close a tab in private browsing mode. So this is really kind of making the next few things that you do on the internet safe from prying eyes. Maybe you are doing some shopping for a loved one and you didn't want them to know that you were going to Tiffany.com. If you go into private browsing mode, all of your search history and the things you were doing on that browser will not be saved. So if I click on the plus to the right of private, you'll notice then that all of the search and address bar icons and everything are this sort of dark gray, and that's trying to tell me visually that I'm in private browsing mode in the event that I forgot. So maybe you stumbled upon this accidentally and you've been browsing in private browsing mode all along. Just know that your search history and all these things will not be saved as you browse with this method. So I just wanted to point that out while we were here. To get out of this, I'm going to tap on the overlapping windows icon again, and that's going to bring me back to this screen. I'm going to tap on the X to get out of this particular, just to close out of that particular private tab. And then I'm going to, again, tap on the word private that's currently highlighted in white to disable private browsing mode and just go back to normal browsing status. So in this list of tiles, I can also just tap on the X to the left of them, top left of them, to close them out. So if I wanted to just randomly kind of choose the ones that I wanted to close out, no problem. All I have to do is just say, yeah, I'm finished. I'm finished doing that. There was a pop-up there that said, hey, do you want us to do this for you automatically? And I said, no, I kind of like having my tabs, and sometimes I stumble upon something that I forgot to go back to. I'm going to close out of FedEx, the Apple Store, et cetera, et cetera. Now, to get out of this window, I would tap done on the top right. But before I do that, I wanted to show you one more really cool feature, and that is because this iPad of mine is signed into my iCloud account, if I scroll down a little bit farther, you're going to notice that it's going to show you all of the open websites that I have as tabs on my other Apple devices. So as an example, on Jonathan's iPhone 12 Pro Max, Resonant Tom and Bass Drum Heads, the Ultimate Guide, is a website that I have open on that. So I'm a musician and a drummer, and so I was apparently looking at some drum heads. There's academic programs, Order Complete, Order Online, Palm Desert, Larry Finn, Berkeley Press, Cantera Apartments. So all these are open tabs on my iPhone on a different device. And so I can literally tap on any of these. Let's say that I wanted to start at the top and see what that Resonant Tom and Bass Drum Head was all about. I can just tap on that, and it's going to take me right there. It's going to take me right to the place where I was looking at interesting drum heads. I'm going to tap on the overlapping windows again, and it's going to bring me back to this page, and I'm going to scroll down again. You can see also that in the middle section there, Jonathan's personal iPad Pro, and to the right of it, Big Zuni iPad Pro. Those are all devices of mine. If I keep scrolling down, I've got a lot of pages open on my iPhone apparently. Isn't that wild? My conference room Mac Mini, my iCreative Mac, this is embarrassing how many Apple devices I have. But it's really powerful to see all of these websites that I have open on all of these different Apple devices. So I'm going to click on Done to get out of that. And the neat thing about this is if maybe on my iMac in the morning I was looking for a couple of interesting places to shop for certain products, and then I got to the office and wanted to pick up where I left off on a different device. Well, this is literally how you do that because I am able to use tab browsing because it's my iCloud account. So this is a really neat and powerful feature, and if you've ever stumbled upon it by accident, that's all that's really going on, is it's allowing you to sort of start where you left off on other devices in the Safari web browser. So I'm going to tap and hold on the overlapping windows, and I'm going to close all 19 tabs. It's going to say, are you sure? I'm going to say, yeah. And I just wiped out every single one of them. I have a completely clean slate. And I want to show you one more feature before we break today, and that is something that I think is truly, truly, truly incredible, and it's all about the reader view. So I'm going to go to BBC, and once I get to BBC, I am going to find, let me find just some kind of an interesting, okay, so let's go to this English Town article with Tom Cruise. When I get to this website, at the very top of the screen in the address bar, you remember that we talked about the little a and the big A. And if I tap on that right now, because I've navigated to an article, I'm lucky enough to see that Show Reader View is possible on this particular website. So that's great, but what does it mean? Well, if I start to scroll down in this article, you see that I'm being subjected to ads for sneakers and all this sort of thing, related stories, and all I really wanted to do was come and read the article about this neat English town, and I'm being shown about travel and all this other stuff. So as I scroll, it's really distracting, and you can see that almost half of the screen is dedicated to stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with this article that I arrived at. So this feature is so powerful, and I love showing it to people. If I navigate to an article, so this isn't going to work on, say, yahoo.com or AOL.com, but if you arrive at AOL.com and then click on an article to read, then this feature may spring to life. So in the address bar, all I'm going to do is tap on little a, big A, and it's going to show me Show Reader View. And I'm going to tap on that now. And look what it does. It strips out all of the extra distracting information and content and ads and makes it so that I just have this beautifully formatted article. You'll even notice that as reported in Tatler or Hit the Headlines is in different colored text, and that's just telling me that those are clickable links. So when I go into Reader View on an article, I can actually keep the integrity of those links. So if I wanted to read this article sort of peacefully, I can click on any of those and it will take me to those links. So I'm just scrolling through, and you'll notice that there's no ads. All of the pictures are here. It's really, really beautifully done. So you'll also notice at the top of the screen in the address bar that the little a, big A is highlighted in black to show me that, or to remind me visually that I am, in fact, in Reader View. The last thing that I want to show about this feature is sharing. If I wanted to share this article, I would again hit the share button on the top right. And when I do that, I am presented with an opportunity to email it to someone. So watch what happens when I tap on email. A number of things just happened in a split second, and this is what I think is really, really worth checking out. And that is, it not only put the title of the headline of this article into the subject for me. The next neat thing is that it made a clickable link and copied and pasted it and put it right there at the top of the body of the email. It also copied and pasted the entire article with all of its wonderful, beautiful pictures. And you'll notice, just like before, as reported in Tatler and hid the headlines and reported, those are all clickable links, even for the person that receives it. So the intention of the author to share other things that might be really valuable or to augment the power of this article, all of those things are kept intact for the person that you send this to. Maybe the person that you send it to is like, gosh, where does Jonathan always get these cool articles? Well, with one tap, they can see exactly the website that I found it on, which of course was BBC Travel. Now, the last thing that they've done for us, believe it or not, is they have actually put the cursor in the to field. So all I would need to do is start typing the recipient's address. I'm going to send it to Jonathan. I just start typing his name, and since he's in my contact list, I can just tap on his email address, and then I'm going to say send. And so the neat thing about Safari is that it has all these wonderful things built into it. When I'm done with the reader view, I can just simply tap on the little a, big A at the top of the screen. And when I do that, you'll also notice there's a couple other really handy little features I want to talk about very briefly. On the left, puts it into just normal white screen background. Sepia is the next option, which is a little bit easier on the eyes. You can even go to gray or to black if it's nighttime and you don't want to have too much light coming into making your eyes tired. You can make the text larger or smaller by tapping on the little a, big A, and this will also go with you, this formatting will go with it if you share this with somebody. And I just find that this is such a powerful feature, and I really hope that you guys get some mileage out of it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I look forward to seeing you in one of my classes very soon. Thanks again.